Ahayah Bahasham Rawach. Shabbat Shalom. Barak Athah. Blessings unto you. Qam Yashar'Al. Welcome to World War III. Our reference today will be 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 20. And this message will be entitled Real Science versus Modern Science, or the philosophy of science. Now, the quick note. On the 28th of January, 1986, when just 73 seconds after liftoff, the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded in midair, is what we saw on TV. At 22,000 feet, 2,257 feet per second, which at 7 nautical miles up in the air, the explosion took place. Again, 7 nautical miles in the air, that's approximately 42,532 feet in the air. An explosion happened. Now, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, known as NOAA, and NASA, or National Aeronautics Space Administration, known as NASA, want you to trust them without ever experiencing these findings yourself. They want you to trust their word without you actually experiencing those things for yourself. Now, before I continue, Indigenous Hebrew Israelite Awakening is not a racist religious hate group. We simply live right here. We live here. Now, to continue, our ancestors gave us this book called the Bible. Our ancestors told us that there was angelic beings. And the Bible says that these angelic beings are a flame of fire. And these angelic beings, they come from the source of that fire which God is a consuming fire. This is what the Bible records of a God that is a spiritual being, a spiritual power with intelligence, and not like, I'll say, some of the Kemetic people, the Hermetics, or the esoteric people who say, okay, God is the sun. No, the sun moves across the earth at a degree and at a distance and in a manner where it's told to do that by law. By a law, it moves and it does what it does for the earth, for us, by laws. Just like the ocean, it moves by laws. The moon moves by laws. So everything you see with your own eyes right now that's happening, it's moving in vibration by laws placed by an intelligent God. And this intelligent God told us, or our ancestors gave this information to us from an intelligent God. And he is a consuming fire. And his ministers, which angels are, they are angels of God, they are ministers of God, they are messengers. They come from that source. So they are also a flame of fire, a small flame. And we are given these books so that we can learn from our own ancestors. Well, what the colonial contract society or culture has done is that they stole these things from us, and they have hidden them from us. For example, the book of Esdras, which is the way we found out that Hebrews are in America. Well, this book of Esdras also tells us that the angel Uriel, which this angel, he is telling the prophet that there were springs underneath the earth and that there are springs in the heavens. so that the springs that are underneath the earth were found in 1986. I'll attach these. I'll attach that New York Times newspaper at the bottom. You'll see it. Again, so 4,000 years ago or more, the angel is telling the prophet that there are springs underneath the earth, but there are springs in the heavens. So that today, when you look at modern science, they're telling us, okay, they are exploring the heavens. They've gone as far as Pluto and in the outer reaches of space. But even before all this modern philosophy of science existed, we have this record. And the colonials, they call this record, or this certain book here, a part of their hidden books. That's what the apocryphal books mean, hidden. So they hid these books on purpose. But then 4,000 years later, they're going to tell you, okay, well, they're outdoing God. So they hid God in their school systems, but they telling you that they're doing these findings. And you personally, you can't go to outer space, but they're telling you about it. Is that really science? I'll tell you what science is. Look up science, the definition of science. It tells you that you have to experience things yourself. You have to experience them. It's not somebody telling you, oh, okay, well, there's such and such in outer space. Anybody can say, hey, Jesus is in outer space. Are you going to believe them? You have to see it for yourself. Hey, God is in outer space. Are you going to believe that God is in outer space just by me saying it? No, you got to see it for yourself. To go on with this, again, in Esdras 4 verse 7, he said unto me, if I should ask thee how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep, or how many springs are above the firmament. Again, the angel Uriel is telling him that there are springs underneath the oceans, and there are heavenly springs in the heavens, in the firmament. And again, that firmament, which the Bible relates, is a cap in the heavens where nothing can get past. And the reason I mentioned the Challenger is that I was a kid and I remember that happening. When I was a kid, I remember that, a lot of people were, just down that day. Teachers, all kinds of people. And they explained that, okay, there was a freak accident. It was a human error. But again, today people are sending, they're sending videos, they're sending balloons and, rockets up, and they're hitting this firmament. And they're letting you see it with your own eyes that there's a firmament up there. But yet, modern science and the philosophy of it, they're still going to tell you that they are going into some outer space that you can never visit, that you can never see with your own eyes or touch with your own hands. But they're doing it and they want you to believe them. And again, just like, let's talk about evolution. Evolution is something that it says that they explain it that it is change over long periods of time. In that long period of time, you can never put your hand on it. You can never see it with any of your 5 senses. But they want you to believe that evolution exists. They want you to believe that something that you cannot see with your own eyes has changed over a long period of time that you have never seen for yourself. That's not science, folks. In fact, science is what you study for yourself. Science is not found in a classroom where you sit down and you listen to somebody tell you, okay, here's a methodology. Here is the scientific method of how we discover and how we do this and that and this. No, because again, you have a baseline of a people who don't even believe in God. You have a baseline of a culture that says, okay, well, we're going to exclude extrasensory perception. Extrasensory perception exists. That's what these prophets were doing back in the days. That's what Jesus done back in the day. In fact, Jesus, when he was meeting one of his disciples, he said, I seen you under the tree before you even got here. And that's how that disciple started believing Jesus, because he had extrasensory perception. These are the things that you must understand. If there's a science that they're teaching you and you can't experience it yourself, then it's not a science at all to you. It's a science for them. Now, for the final note of this reading, I also want to add Proverbs chapter 14, verse 15. The simple believeth every word, but the prudent man looketh well into his goings. If you're a simple-minded person, you're going to sit down and you're going to take in everything that somebody who is trying to influence you, you're going to take it all in. But if you are someone who is searching for the truth of the matter, you're not just going to take the word for, or take somebody's word for it. You're going to actually search and make sure that what he's saying is true. And you're not just going to sit down and accept somebody saying that they visited outer space when it's not there. You know, we have this record from our ancestors saying that there were springs underneath the earth, and they found it. And you see regular people sending these rockets up into our, the so-called outer space, and it's hitting that firmament. You're seeing it with your own eyes. Who are you going to believe? Who are you going to believe? Again, real science is what you experience with your five senses. And like some of us, your science is what you experience with your seven senses. And until you wake up, you're only going to have five until you wake up to the fact that you're a spiritual being. And the fire that is inside you, the fire that God has given you, has been suppressed by some people who have told you that you are not who you really are. By some people who have hidden some things on purpose so that you can obey what they have for you. You can obey their sciences. With that being said, I am a Hebrew Israelite. I am a documented conscientious objector and an administrator of peace. Hebrew Israelite out.